my job entails making sure the CPS can do what we've promised the public we do on their behalf. So that means we're prosecuting the right people, we've got all the systems and processes that you would expect in a public service like the CPS. You know, we're well budgeted, we make sure all our people are well trained, and we're speaking to the right people, particularly with the police and the courts, to make sure we're working well together to make the criminal justice service work for everybody. In my average working week, I spend at least a day with staff at the front line. Try and do that every week. I do it with Keir Starmer, who's the Director of Public Prosecutions. We either go out together to visit one of our offices, perhaps see some people in court, but it's about meeting the people who are actually delivering a service to the public, making sure they're really clear about what their role is, and also that I understand what their problems are, and then I can try and deal with them. So that's a big part of my week. I spend about another day, in dribs and drabs, but another day dealing with some of the most senior people we deal with, so that's senior police officers, senior judges, and we're talking about how we can improve the system at court and how we investigate offences so that we can bring more offenders to justice and that we can make sure that cases are dealt with quickly and easily. And then there's a lot of things I have to deal with, you know, as a chief executive of a public service, to make sure our budget is very strong, you know, we've got good financial controls, and we're delivering on all our performance targets. I work very closely with the Director of Public Prosecutions. We effectively work as a team. We get on extremely well together. He is the public face of the CPS. He's our ambassador. He sets the direction and strategy for the organisation, and then it's my job to make sure that all those things happen. Of course, the director has a very demanding job. Not only does he have to be our ambassador and our leader, but he also has to make decisions in some of the most complicated and difficult cases. He's got me to make sure that all these things that he wants to happen actually come to pass. So that makes, you know, if we set a new direction, or we've got a new initiative to bring in, I'm the person who makes sure that happens for him. I've been with the CPS now since it started in 1986, and we've done really lots of fantastic things. I think if you were to ask me the thing I'm most proud of, it's the things that we've done for victims that didn't have a voice. Particularly, say, in domestic violence. Once upon a time, particularly women who suffered domestic violence, they weren't taken seriously, their cases weren't brought to justice. Over recent years, we've made a huge difference to that. We've accepted that they have awful lives, that they've had terrible experiences, and we've decided to do something about it. And we've made a difference. We're bringing more offenders to justice now than we've ever done, and I hope we're providing better support to the victims of domestic violence. I think that's one of the examples. I think we've also done it particularly on things like hate crime, where they had lots of people who had miserable lives because they were targeted by people who didn't like them, their religion, their race, their sexual orientation. Their lives were made of misery. Now, we've targeted those cases, and we're bringing more and more of those offences to justice. So I think we're making a real difference to victims who didn't have a voice when I started prosecuting many years ago. Transparency and openness are very important to this service, to the CPS and to me personally. We're a public service, and you know, we're paid for the public, and the public are right to expect that we'll explain to them what we do on their behalf. I mean, we are doing everything we do, we are doing on behalf of the public, and they've got a right to understand why we're making these decisions, sometimes to explain openly to them why they're difficult decisions, and then to account for what we've done, to be honest when we haven't got things right, to be frank with them when we haven't. Also, of course, to tell them when we're doing a good job, so that they and our staff know, you know, some of the real profound differences we've made. But openness and transparency is essential to everything we do.